Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Season 3 of The World with Nate. I'm your host, Nate Allison. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Mattress by Appointment Cedar Falls. Set up your private appointment by phone or text. Find a bed that fits you. It doesn't break the bank. Take it home the same day. Thank you, Katie at Mattress by Appointment, for supporting the podcast. Today, I'd like to welcome on Scott Behrends to the podcast. Welcome, Scott.
Thanks for having me.
Scott, I know you through your association with Ninja U. That's about all that I knew surface level until I got to know you a little bit. I'd like to chat about that, your experience as an entrepreneur and doing that and some of the other things that you've taken on, raising kids in today's world, your faith, and everything that goes around with why you're doing what you're doing.
Love it.
Hell yeah. So welcome to The World with Nate.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
Where did the ninja thing begin?
Yeah.
For us, for our age people.
Yeah.
You know.
I'll try to keep it as short as possible. So, young parent trying to figure out these young boys who were extremely active, but also extremely shy. So they were too shy to really want to play sports, right? An organized sport. And I was literally wrestling with myself and trying to lean into other experienced parents, I'll say, trying to figure out, do I just sign them up and force them into this thing? And that whole thing, I don't want to crush it, but at the same time, I know they would probably excel, right?
Yeah.
And then they came home from gym class one day with Mary Dickens, and they were doing obstacle courses.
Mary,
yeah.
Yeah.
And they were doing obstacle courses, and I was like, dude, I used to love doing obstacle courses. And rewind a couple of years previous, my mother-in-law used to always say, hey, you should watch this show called American Ninja Warrior. I think you would love it. And I was like, I don't need another TV show in my life.
Right? Yeah, heck yeah.
Or any. And then, so now we're back to my boys loving obstacle courses.
Yeah, and shy. That whole not wanting to push them in.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough. And it's a delicate tightrope, it feels like.
Absolutely. And I've tried to always say that I don't want to force my kids into anything that I want, right? Not push my dreams onto them.
Hell yeah.
So anyway, I was like, well, let's just, put some obstacle courses in the backyard. And I'm not sure exactly if it was my mother-in-law was like, well, that's what Ninja Warrior was, or we started watching Ninja Warrior about the same time. But I was like, well, let's just put anything in our backyard that becomes an obstacle course. And we weren't getting fancy. We were just 55-gallon barrel or, a rope in the tree. And
to start.
It was just, what can you jump over or crawl under, right? Real simple, basic stuff, but it kind of became this thing. It was at the same time, I wanted to teach my kids how to be a positive influence on social media.
Yeah.
Right?
In today's world.
In today's world, which is a whole nother topic, obviously. And it kind of all just started swirling together, and we formed Backyard Ninja Kids. Okay. So it was YouTube, Instagram, and literally we went to Jessup Gym, which is unfortunately closed now, but outdoor gym. It's amazing. We would go to just any school park and play.
So what sort of things are we doing at those?
Yeah, we just record them. Not even doing that, just any kind of creative play.
Okay, cool.
Just watching kids be creative and play. Nothing fancy. And every once in a while, we'd throw in a little workout thing or something like that. We even teamed up with a few other local people that we did an indoor workout and stuff like that for winter time and, different things. We were just trying to, my whole thing was to, my tagline was educate and encourage kids to do something they haven't done before.
Yeah,
right?
I love
it.
Try new things.
Right. And it's we don't need these fancy things, right? You see these little kids playing with cardboard boxes, right?
Yeah.
Toys are great, and I'm not against them, but it's and obstacles at the gym are great, but you also could just use a tree.
Yeah.
Right? And
my
whole thing, anyway, I'm going all over the place.
No, I
love it.
I love it, too.
So Backyard Ninja Kids, we started posting regularly. And this is how much I didn't know about Ninja Warrior yet.
Yeah.
I started posting in, I think, September. And then the show was shortly over after that.
Okay.
So, but we were posting regularly, and I started tagging the show and hashtagging the show. And come to find out, the season was over within 2 months. But I'm posting daily almost, right? Yeah. And I was like, oh, it's over. When does it come back on? I don't know.
Yeah.
And then Wall Street Journal is going to post an article, or is it New York Times? New York Times posted an article about the influence of Ninja Warrior on younger kids. And they reached out to me.
Wow.
I was 2 months into my Instagram account.
Wow.
And what's funny is I thought, oh my gosh, he's going to be huge. No, it like got me 20 followers.
Yeah.
But he got me some street cred.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of cool that, you know, like you don't know when you're posting or tweeting or, you know, whatever, who's listening.
You do not.
Right.
You do not.
Which is both good and bad.
Absolutely.
But if it's public, it's public.
Yep.
So, so I think that it kind of started growing from there. And then, you know, we got well known enough in the ninja community that we applied for American Ninja Warrior Junior.
Okay.
Okay. The kids applied for the show.
So by kids.
Yep. So my 2 boys.
Okay.
And I have a daughter as well. So Ben is now 16, Jason's 14, and Leah's now 8.
Okay.
So, but this was, 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And
young.
Young, Ninja Warrior Junior season 1 was coming out.
Okay.
And so we applied, and my boys got on the show.
Very cool.
The gym wasn't even open yet.
Ninja U wasn't a thing.
Ninja U wasn't a thing, and we had only been to 2 or 3 gyms ever, maybe.
Okay. Where was this happening at in that time? Because prior to you opening Ninja U in our community, I thought it was people on farms running over hay bales. And like you said, just finding stuff, making it work.
And that's legit ninja, right? That's the roots of it, right?
Yeah.
It's just gotten fancier.
Right, fancier and ability to do it anytime.
Right. It's like backyard for football versus the NFL.
Yep.
Same kind of thing. We went down to St. Louis, was our very first ninja gym. Yep.
So you had a bit of a drive to get to be able to do this stuff.
Yep, absolutely. Yep. And even now, before we opened one in Ankeny, our friend had one down in Grimes, down by Des Moines. Okay. And then next closest is Minneapolis.
Wow.
Sioux Falls, St.
Hours
Louis.
and hours from here.
Yeah. So, we made the trip around a vacation to then, hit up a ninja gym and just try it.
Yeah.
Anyway, loved it. My boys were on season 1 of American Ninja Warrior Junior, and that was their very first competition ever. Right?
Yeah,
it's like crazy to think, like, they're stepping up on stage, they're nervous, and I'm like, it's okay, guys, you got this, right? And then I was on Ninja Warrior the next season, and I'm like terrified. Yeah, heck yeah. And you're like, the previous year, I'm encouraging them. You're fine, you're fine.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's kind of how it all came about, and so we got to be well known in the ninja community, and probably the coolest thing, I was trying to encourage my kids to, be that positive influence on social media, and they kind of got it, but I was the one doing all the posting and reading comments, and I'd read them to them or whatever, but following other people is a big thing to try to get traction and commenting, and I'm doing that late at night when my kids aren't awake, so I'm not showing them all the content I'm seeing, so I didn't, in hindsight, I realized, like, I knew a lot of people in Ninja Warrior community, but they knew no one, right? Because I didn't show them as much. And not intentionally, it's just when I had time to do it.
Right.
So anyway, on Ninja Warrior Junior, probably the coolest thing that happened was we got to the hotel in L.A., and we go out.
Big city, L.A.
Big city, man. Dang. Universal Studios, I think, was where we recorded.
Very cool.
And we go out to the pool party, or go out to the pool, and there's like a party going on, and it's all ninja families. And we walk out those doors to the pool, and 5-10 kids just start screaming, "Back, our ninja kids are here!" Wow. And my boys look at me, and I'm like, "Whoa, this is our..."
For real.
We don't have a lot of followers, but they're all right here.
Yeah, hell yeah. That's what matters.
It was cool.
What are you making it for? What are you doing it for?
Right.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, and what's cool is a lot of those same kids now are competing on the show and doing extremely well. So it's just cool to see, like, just being a part of the movement. Yeah. Big or small, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's just been cool to be kind of a part of and see where it's all gone.
Yeah. So I'm at the point where I'm in awe because I see people like Levi doing 6,000 pull-ups, and then I know what he's capable of running the runs, and Cat Daddy and your nephew Chris, and the amount of quality young men that we have now in our area doing this. It's just it's phenomenal, and it didn't exist, a couple years ago. Really,
it's wild. It's wild. Yeah,
it's crazy. It is crazy. So when you say big city LA, you bring these shy kids in, and then boom, these people know you. Like, these are your people now. Yeah. That had to just blow their socks off.
Yeah, a little bit.
And change some things, right?
A little bit, but they're still, I mean, our whole family's naturally introverted.
Okay.
We need our downtime, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And we've still leaned very much into that. Even trying to figure out how much do we travel for these competitions, right? Because if we do travel, we have to go to a gym. And where's the closest gym, right? 3 hours away.
Yeah.
So trying to figure that out is how much do we travel? When do we travel, right?
And the expenses.
Yep.
And our kids are involved in school stuff and other extracurriculars. I'm sure your kids are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then it's but now I'm involved as a coach. I'm involved as an athlete. I'm involved as a dad. I'm involved as a gym owner. Yeah. So it's like there's 4 hats I'm kind of wearing as I'm trying to navigate how often do we travel, how often do we coach, you know.
What we're doing.
Yeah, and I obviously haven't figured that piece out yet, you know. And there's no right or wrong answer, but just navigating all those pieces. But my boys are still extremely shy. I would say they're way above average on camera because of Backyard Ninja Kids. Yeah. They got very used to talking to the camera.
Yeah.
But other than that, they're head down, they just do their own thing at school. You know, they are who they are. A lot of people don't even know who they are. And, you know, they're just so niche, such a niche sport, you know, that I think they somewhat go unnoticed, except for the gym teacher, maybe.
Yeah. Who's this kid hanging from the rafters?
Yeah. They've been begging for them to all to wrestle. So.
Yeah, heck, I bet. Is that something they ever have any interest in, or just not for them?
Not really.
Yeah. You can't push that thing, I don't believe. Yeah. It's not going to work out well if we push things.
And they truly just love ninja. That's all they want to do all the time.
Which is okay too, right?
So, but it is this thing I kind of want you to try other things too, you know? But still, let them navigate their life.
Yeah, and you said, my first time on camera here, 34 years old, I was frightened to death, you know? And to have that at their age, where we're going, you hope that prepares them.
Right. Yeah, and recording a competition for TV.
Yeah.
It was kind of a big deal, but
absolutely.
They gutted it out and did it.
And press. Yeah. And knowing how to speak with people and make yourself look the way you want to be presented, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's huge when we're children and learning those things.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I like it, but like you say, there's a fine balancing act. Because you don't want to over.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Balancing all aspects of life is tough.
Yeah. Yeah. So the Backyard Ninja Kids, how'd that develop into creating your own gym and opening a space here in Cedar Falls?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think we just got so well known in the ninja community. I had other gym owners even picking my brain, or, you know, we started getting products sent to us and stuff like that.
To test.
To test out and try. And, it kind of became this thing, do we think Cedar Falls could even handle this, right? And I would say still we're one of the smallest cities maybe in the nation that even has a ninja gym.
Because of our population size.
Population size and, yeah.
What sort of things do you look at when you're opening it? Population size?
Right. Population density. Are you next to a suburb? Right. The cities might be similar size, but they're next to Chicago. Yeah. Right. So
you get overflow.
Yeah. We're just kind of in the middle here with
Waterloo.
And we do get some traveling from Dubuque, and we'll get people from across the Midwest for sure, but also across the country that'll travel to our gym. But it's few and far between.
Yeah.
But people will travel a couple hours. We had someone from Dubuque a couple days ago.
Heck yeah.
But yeah, we were pretty small. But then it kind of the biggest thing was I kind of have an entrepreneur brain, but a very timid one, right?
Okay.
Maybe afraid to fail or whatever that is. So I knew, number one, I didn't want to do it by myself because I want a day off.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And when I'm on vacation with my family, I don't want to be the only one, at least, that can respond.
Yep.
And or instantly be available. So then it kind of became this weird situation of who would I even want as a business partner or partners, or what does that look like?
Yeah, those are smart questions to ask yourself at that point.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
They're very important.
Right.
This is somebody you're signing your dreams with, you know?
Yeah. And I don't think I even realized how big of a deal it could have even been. Partially because, like, I didn't even know where Ninja U would all go or what it would necessarily look like.
Yeah.
I was just so excited to, you know, basically, if you can make people excited about fitness, it becomes a lifestyle. Mm-hmm. And, man, I just want to see lifestyles change, you know, to be more fit and healthy. So, and that's my whole thing. I could push harder, but I'm like, I want to be able to do Ninja with my grandkids.
Hell yeah.
You know, and if I push my body too hard, maybe I won't be able to.
Absolutely.
So I'm constantly, as an athlete, trying to keep that in mind.
Recovery is so important. Things we didn't think of in our 20s that now in 30s and 40s, it's like, man, that stuff's important.
Right. I'm just glad now I'm 41, so I get to compete with the masters at 40 plus.
Now you're in.
So now I'm back in with the competition.
That's awesome. That's I can ring a testament to that. The military fitness test had age brackets too.
Cool.
So as soon as you hit 40, it was like, oh, now we get to take one off. Is what the thought.
Jackpot.
Yeah.
But in the business side, you know, it's a whole family thing. So even talking to my boys and talking to Lindsay, like, this is going to be our life. It's going to change our life.
So what did you do for a job? What was your day job per se?
So I'm actually an IT nerd. So right. So got a computer science degree.
It's not nerd if it pays the bills, Scott.
That's right. I'm okay with it.
Hell yeah.
I love it. So IT guy, I worked for a local firm doing IT. Then I went to UNI for a while and did IT.
Okay.
Went back to that local firm for a little bit, and then ended up, I've been at my church, Orchard Hill Church, for, 11 years maybe.
Oh, wow.
12 years. And what's cool is the flexibility and freedom and leadership training I got through my church is what led me to be able to probably open Ninja U.
Hell yeah.
I don't think if I would have been at UNI or any other place, I probably would have never went down this path. Partially because it took a lot of time. Mm-hmm. And my church job allowed me to have some flexibility and freedom in that. Yeah. So, it's just crazy to see how it all worked out. But yeah, the leadership training, the support we had, you know, the whole community came and supported us instantly. Yeah. So yeah, it's been amazing, but just to see, you know, the paths we've chosen and it happened to lead us
and how it worked out.
Yeah,
absolutely. It has
and now
correlation.
I'm still there, but I'm still at the church, but I'm only like 10 hours a week.
Yeah.
So
just helping out.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
It's cool to hear that in this seat too, as somebody who's a few years behind in the entrepreneur game. And people out there, there's plenty of people who have businesses who are making those decisions, and they're the hard ones right now.
Yeah.
But then in the future, you know, the working for free for, you know.
Yeah.
You know those things.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
You know, we were talking about social media and stuff. It just, I don't think people understand how much work social media is. Right.
Mm-hmm. To be able to create something every day, just anything, is tough. It's tough. Every single day.
Right. And who's your target market? What do they want?
When you start to add those things in,
right,
it gets spicy.
Absolutely.
And how much of that did you know jumping into this boat?
Right. Yeah. For me, it was, I think I've always been interested in, you know, the tech side of it, right?
Right.
So from an IT person, like, I'm not afraid to learn software. Or use it, but I mean, it was still like I'm a natural learner. I love to watch YouTube videos on learning stuff. I could just learn all day and not get anything done.
That's awesome.
Maybe that's happened a few times.
It's awesome.
Yeah. So I don't mind watching tons of YouTube videos on how to grow your YouTube channel, how to grow an Instagram account,
and learn those things,
and learn them, and then maybe apply them. Instead of watching more videos on how to make it better. Gotcha. That was I should have probably applied stuff more often, but so I think that's where I wasn't afraid to try it and especially learn it, right? I'm not necessarily the one throwing all the darts, maybe someone else is, and then I was able to throw a little bit bigger darts or a little bit bigger bullets, right? And then maybe they'd land a little better on social media, but learn from others. But yeah, I love to learn, so
absolutely
work out of.
So you picked the person you wanted to start this dream with. What did that look like?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it was kind of like this weird situation of trying to pitch my dream And
because this is new in the Cedar Valley. Before Ninja U, you say, how did you pitch it? I have an idea for an indoor obstacle. I would love to have been a fly on the wall back then.
Same. I wish I could go back.
It's like.
Yeah. Well, and you know, I mean, it almost became like this interview process of like, I wonder if they could be a good fit. I wonder if they could be a good fit.
Yep.
And testing waters without trying to lead anyone on. It was really awkward at times, I'd say, you know. And, you know, maybe one person was super interested, but I didn't want to do it and didn't think it'd be a good fit.
Right.
You know, because personalities got at work, right? And assumed personalities, I suppose, are also involved. But, you know, it's one of those things of, man, this is like a marriage going in.
Absolutely.
Going in deep.
Absolutely.
So Paul Eyes I knew through church, and they were pretty good friends with my brother-in-law.
Okay.
So
you had a little bit of credibility through that.
Yep. Yeah. And then, you know, locally, you know, a lot of people knew the Paul Eyes from UNI and different things.
Very involved locally.
Jacob was a national champion pole vaulter, which he's very humble, never really tells anyone. But so he knows the human body, he knows anatomy, he knows how to train people.
Hell yeah.
He's an athlete. And that would bring a whole different aspect, because part of me was like, well, if this whole Ninja Warrior thing dies tomorrow, we have a gym.
Yep.
How can we apply it in other ways, right?
Smart.
And we have this hill we call Everest at our gym, and Jacob said we need an Everest hill, or we need a hill. Let's call it Everest or something. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about, but sounds cool.
Hell yeah.
And he's like, this is the best training tool. Only, I think, University of Michigan has one. No one else in the country has one.
Yeah.
He's like, this is a huge training tool. We can do so much with it. And it's been a staple of our gym, and it's kind of cool. And I know he takes, you know, private training and does athletes in there too. But
yeah. I was just in there watching my own children who do the monthly or the weekly course.
Yeah.
And heard some of the you call them instructors, coaches
usually,
asking, you know, how's your time? They asked him, how was your time this round? 3 high school ladies, PRs, on a random Wednesday. Yeah. I was like, dang.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. As somebody who I grew up with like Mercy One Fast or whatever program, try to get better and stuff. Yeah. That's huge.
Yeah.
For people who want to be better.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's really cool because Jacob was an Olympic athlete.
Yeah.
I mean, he knows the form and tech.
And stuff that the average person, even the person who's very dedicated, has no idea, has never heard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fascinating hearing him. You know, it's probably like someone listening to me about Ninja. I can watch someone and be like, oh, they need to correct this.
Exactly.
Where other people are like, oh, right?
Yeah.
He does that with running, and I'm like, it's just running, but it's not.
Right.
There's
Absolutely.
a lot of tech that goes into it. So,
yeah.
So it's been cool to see how they've even brought some of those aspects to other classes or different things for us.
And added to.
Yeah.
You know, that incline training. And that's the only place in the area you can get it.
Yep, absolutely.
So it's a huge, that thought process of, you know, if Ninja dies down tomorrow, you have a gym. That's smart cookie. Yeah. Smart, Scott.
Yeah.
Where did the ideas for these obstacles in Ninja U come from? There's a lot of different stuff, rings and latches and balls. And and you change them out.
Yeah, well, you got it. I mean, it's just like if you had the same course every day, it's like a playground, right? Kids can get bored on a playground in 10 minutes.
I don't know, Scott. I find plenty of challenging things that are always challenging there for me.
Yeah, but you got to keep it changing, you know. And even if it's the same stuff, you just switch them around a little bit. The order, right? Imagine if you could go to a little park at the school, and even if you just change the order up a little bit, it would be a way different feel. Mm-hmm. So that's basically what we get to do. And I usually kind of tell people it's just a outdoor park on steroids with pads under you. So it's a little bit safer too. So, I mean, the ideas, there's now companies obviously that sell obstacles and stuff like that. Because it's becoming such a bigger deal with gyms across the country, across the world, catching on. There's really no standardization, but there's kind of an unwritten rule with gyms versus home, like, quality wise almost, right?
Okay.
And the look and feel of your gym, what do you want?
Yeah.
We try to keep our gym looking a certain way. Rather than just throwing any color of obstacle in there or whatever, we want it either black, gray, or yellow.
For your brand.
For our brand.
Okay.
But that's challenging at times.
Yes.
Because now the black carabiners are twice the price of the blue ones.
Yep. Dang, can't we just go with blue? Nope.
So I guess I'm paying twice the price.
Yeah. Yeah, those things.
But that's important for our brand, we think.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, with obstacles, like obviously we build some, we buy some, but a lot of the creativity just comes from scrolling social media and like, oh, dude, look what this kid made in his backyard, or this guy at his gym at a competition, you know? So usually competitions, and a lot of people don't know this about the show either, like you don't get to try anything. They like tell you what you can touch and what you can't touch, and you can ask questions, but otherwise it's like,
just
okay.
looking at it.
Yep. So then it's like, okay, you're up.
Get going fast.
Yeah. So then that's why it can be an advantage go later, because you can watch other people try things. We call it beta, how they do things, and learn from their mistakes or successes.
And like you said, for you, you know, you have watched so much ninja that you can pick apart and teach yourself.
Yeah.
In that regard.
Yep.
But dang, I did not know that you couldn't try.
You don't get to try anything, especially on the show.
It's fresh for everybody.
Yep. Unless the obstacle's been on a previous season.
Right.
So then some people have experience on them. But competition-wise, like local competitions or whatever, that's when you bring out new obstacles.
Try them out.
Because no one has ever seen it.
Yeah.
So, and also, otherwise it'd be a massive home field advantage.
Yeah.
Right? If we brought out some hard obstacles and all of our kids got to try it for weeks, and then we have a Midwest competition, well, all of our guys know how to do it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you usually bring out new obstacles around competition
That's a good point.
time.
Yeah. And it builds a hype, you know. People are seeing that and posting about it.
Yep.
Smart.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. I like hearing that. You know,
it's fun.
Yeah.
It's been a fun process. And, you know, now we've kind of shifted into bringing Chris and Levi on as more managers, and that's freed me up to be able to like build more stuff or be creative in that way. Yeah. Rather than just the daily grind.
Absolutely.
You know, but still walking with them, trying to hand things off, you know, which is, now I'm learning the other side is like, you know, the entrepreneurial side or delegation side. Yeah. It's like, they're not going to do it the way I want it. Absolutely. And sometimes it's going to be good and sometimes it's going to be bad. Yeah. But you have to accept it and talk about it and move forward. Yep. Right? And they've done some things that have been fantastic and some things that have flopped, and, you know, I would have flopped too on things. But, right. You know, it's one of those things of delegating and someone else does it and you're like, I think I could have done that better, but
you didn't have the time.
So I think that's been a really hard shift for me too of, you know, that next stage of the business, right? Of letting go and letting these strong, very capable leaders and all my coaches. We've been extremely blessed with just coaches and people we found. And I mean, obviously we're very cautious and careful of who we hire, but it's one of those things like, man, I want you to have fun with kids and be a kid person before I need a ninja. Yeah. Because I can teach you ninja. Hell yeah. You know? And a lot of them kind of grew up through classes or whatever, but man, our coaches are top notch.
It's evident. Anyone who subscribes, anybody who sends their children there, we'll see it. Yeah. Send them in, and you got the bro teens fist bumping the kids. It's an awesome freaking environment.
Yeah. And we really have tried to just push very high encouraging environment. Yeah. Right. So there's plenty of negativity in this world. And,
and like, outside of Ninja U, there's plenty.
There's some kids just need a fist pound every once in a while. Yeah. And I think it's been cool too. Like, these kids just have these minor, I'll say micro failures, right? Trying to get through the monkey bars, let's say. Something more simple, or rings. And it's like they fail and fail and fail, and they finally get it. Mm-hmm. And it might only take them minutes. It might take them days. Sometimes it takes them months. But once they get that,
heck yeah.
You know,
that's a win.
You know, there's no participation trophies. And we've even created this system kind of piggybacking off of like karate, taekwondo. So we have wristbands, right? And you have to earn these wristbands based on skill levels and what you do.
I love it.
And we're actually going to be changing it this month, actually, just to actually, we thought we made it too hard. So we're actually going to dumb it down. Not dumb it down. That sounds bad, but shift the wristbands. Because we even had one wristband where like, man, we don't even know what to do for this one. It's so hard. Like, you have to win Ninja Warrior. You have to win the $1 million to get this wristband.
Yeah.
Like that, maybe we took it too far.
Nobody owns it.
Yeah. And even some of our top ones, like we have 1 or 2 athletes in the gym that even have it, right?
Heck yeah.
Which is still kind of cool. But
it is cool.
Now we have a wristband doing nothing. So it's like we're going to shift things down. And that's just part of learning and adapting and applying your business without just going, well, is what it is. Like, no, it's okay to change.
Yep. It's okay to pivot.
Yep. And a lot of the kids that were right on the edge, they're probably going to level up this month.
Yep.
And you know what that's going to do for their confidence?
Heck yeah.
It's huge.
I've seen it.
But then they have the next level now to work on.
Yep.
And some of that stuff's going to be similar or more challenging or less challenging. Maybe it's going to be easy for them. But that's been really cool to see these kids. And some of them get so disappointed, right? And they're crying and you're like, gosh, I want to give you this wristband so bad. But we're both going to lose if you do, if I do, right?
And they will
that's
get
hard.
it. They will get it if they stick at it.
Yep. And parents are always supportive and like, don't give that to them. Like they don't deserve it.
Heck
like,
yeah.
oh yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome to see.
We got to teach these kids how to fail.
Yeah, we do. We need to, because if we prepare them to always win, that's not how the real world works.
Right.
And we both know that.
Yep.
Like you said it right in that program. You set them up and it might have been too much. You might have been asking for too much. Yep. So you scale it back and you pivot.
Exactly.
Yeah, hell yeah. I like that a lot. And growing your brand and expanding what you guys are doing, the black, the yellow, the gray, the Ninja U.
Yeah.
You've got a place in Cedar Falls and you've expanded now. Talk about that. Yeah.
So we're actually looking to expand right before COVID hit.
Okay.
And oh man, we got so lucky. I mean, we were touring a place and trying to figure out who would run that or what that would look like. And so glad we didn't get that lease signed. That would have been rough.
Yeah,
could have been the
starting failing.
Yep. So, thankfully timing wise. So then coming out of COVID, we're just testing the waters again, trying to see, and we weren't like gung ho about it. And I wouldn't even say we have this massive plan to take over the world, right? With Ninja
Not
gyms.
100 Ninja in every city.
No, it's like, I mean, again, my whole goal is to encourage these kids to change their lifestyle. So if I think I can do it in a given city or moment, let's do it.
I love it, Scott.
Right? So
I love it.
I'm not chasing to sit on a pile of money, right? That's not my goal. So when you can kind of keep your focus on your goal, right? So what cities could this work in?
Yeah.
Right? But you also have to kind of know our market, right? Younger kids. And right now, the sport is mostly an extracurricular sport, right? It's growing and it's becoming sports, and we have a team that travels and all that.
Very cool.
But for a lot of people, it's training for wrestling. It's training for hockey. It's training for basketball. I love to tell this story. My nephew, Chris Behrends, who's a fantastic ninja now, but when he first started, he couldn't even get through monkey bars, right? I mean, he's horrible.
Careful.
And now all these,
Poor Chris.
I know, he'll admit it. We got video proof of this.
All right, hell yeah.
We laugh about
Chris. I love Chris. I love the Ninja Teens.
Yeah, and we laugh about it. But what's cool is, like, he was a pretty good basketball player in Clarksville, but he became the number 1 3-point shooter in his division.
Yeah, wow.
Until he started getting double and triple teamed, and then obviously his stats dropped. But I would say a lot of that strength came from Ninja.
Doing Ninja.
His upper body strength exploded, right?
Absolutely.
Whether or not, I don't know, but I mean, I think that definitely played a role. So I think right now it's such a cross-training sport because it's so new. And the sport's young. It's trying to figure out these different leagues, and we're just a young sport.
Yeah.
Ultimately.
Yeah.
And, it's like the NFL when it was AFL and NFL, and then, and then they had to merge eventually.
Yep.
So that's kind of where Ninja is. Well, so in that case, we're kind of an extra sport for these kids.
Okay.
Right? So you need a huge population of kids that are maybe also athletic, or parents want them to move and different things, right? So generally,
there's a lot of data that goes into figuring out where you're going. I'm hearing it, dude.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And honestly, just being an extra, that costs money.
Yep.
It has to generally be dual income families.
It has to fall within the parameters needed.
Yep. And that's the thing that kills me. And we've done some scholarship things, and we hand out passes and stuff like that. But one thing I always want to keep in mind is cost, right?
Yeah.
Because I want anyone to be able to do this, right? But yeah, so we found Ankeny, and we're trying to think like that's a fast growing town.
Yeah.
We kind of found a place, and then one of our very first employees, actually, Nate Person, who actually helped literally paint the rock wall. I mean, he was in there with the trenches early on, building the place. And I met him through UNI entrepreneurial stuff, and he came to me. He used to work with us, and then he became a full-time athletic trainer for, I think he was working at West High at the time. And
all right.
He said, hey, we just had our kid, right? And we all knew this, but he's like, we're thinking about moving back home to Altoona. What do you think about, would you ever think about putting a ninja gym down there?
Heck
and we're already looking at Ankeny, and we're like, wow.
What'd you say?
Yeah, we're like, this can't be real, man.
No coincidence in life.
Which, again, was another pivot, because we were thinking, Nate's off the table. Who do we want to run this place?
Yeah.
Right? So it was another kind of pivot of like, ooh, this could be good.
And when you have people you can trust, it makes it a different ballgame.
It was.
It's not just your dream. You got people who are willing to commit to what you're doing.
Right. And do we find someone down in that area? Do we try to move someone down to that area?
Right.
I mean, that's tough.
Yeah, it's tough. It's multifaceted.
I don't want to, take the roots out from my family and move, right? So I don't want that on anyone else either, unless it's a good fit for them. But so that just kind of fell into our lap, and Nate's been doing a great job down there, and so
I've got family in Des Moines that has visited that, so
it's cool.
Nothing but awesome things to say. Hell yeah. The employee part, you said Nate was an awesome employee. We've talked a little bit about your nephew and Levi and the guys there. How has that been for you with finding employees, keeping them, the leadership growth, stuff like that?
Yeah, absolutely. What's cool is one of our first employees was actually also Mary Dickens.
Okay.
My boys' gym teacher, right?
Yeah.
So she retired, but still wanted to be involved with kids, and she became our employee, which is it was like so cool, like almost goosebumps. Like she even surprised my boys in the backyard one time for Backyard Ninja Kids, and they thought that was the coolest thing ever.
Absolutely.
And I would say I love fitness because of my elementary school gym teacher, right? Mr. Zimmer, shout out to you.
Heck yeah, talk about full circle.
Yeah, I still see him at Panera every once in a while and talk to him and tell him that. But they just have such an influence. So, I mean, it's so cool to have this well-known teacher and PE teacher and great with kids. So she was an easy add-on early on.
Heck yeah.
And obviously from the get-go, it was, a lot of our hours putting in, working.
Yeah.
I was coaching every single class every day. We were working Saturdays and Sundays, and
meanwhile, still doing your other job as well, full-time back then.
Full-time. Yeah. It was a grind for a while there. Yeah, I'd basically go to work all day, and then we'd go to the gym and build it out all night from about April until September until we opened.
Yeah.
And there till 1 or 2 in the morning. So it was a grind. But yeah, the employees started off with just obviously connections we had at first.
Yeah.
We didn't really take many applications. We pulled a few of people that just stopped by and said, hey, I'm interested.
Yeah.
But a lot of it, again, has been built from, like, it's cool that if someone comes off the street and says, hey, man, I could bring this to your business, here's my application or whatever. But when you see people and you speak into them that are already at your gym, and you're like, you'd be a good coach someday.
Absolutely.
And now we're getting these teenagers who used to be these little tykes in the class, right? Now they're becoming incredible coaches. And we're trying to incorporate that even into our advanced classes, where we have the advanced athletes helping coach these younger kids for a little bit of it, and then they go off and do their own thing. And it's been really cool to see their leadership development in it all. And, they're always standing by another coach, but it's been really cool to see. And sometimes I could tell a kid something 10 times, but when they hear it from one of their peer that is a little bit more advanced, he's cool, not me, right?
Yeah. That's
I'm just the old coach that's going to tell them what to get off that thing, right?
Yep. No, you're absolutely right.
There's some, they don't realize it, but they have more influence than they think.
Oh, yeah. Way more than they think.
So
my son has been sitting and talking about Levi and these nicknames and all this stuff for so long. So I've seen it. Yeah. And it's so cool. Yeah. It's so rewarding, so powerful.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. It's been really cool to see the employees like kind of grow up. And even Chris and Levi, they were, I mean, obviously Chris is my nephew. So once he got interested, it was like, well, that's an easy ask. I know him very well, reputable. And then Levi was his friend. And we always joke about this because I probably texted Chris 10 times. What's your friend's name again? Who's this guy? And what's cool is Levi's the one who brought Chris to the gym.
Wow.
Because Levi had been watching Ninja Warrior growing up and he loved it and had a salmon ladder in his barn backyard, right? It's like he grew up wanting to do this. Yeah. And that's one cool thing he did with his brother. But absolutely. So he kind of brought Chris into the realm, which is kind of cool. Yeah. And then same with Isaiah, like they were just athletes at our gym that we trained together.
Heck yeah.
And then once kind of jobs started opening and the initial people we had started getting careers, right? Because they were all kind of in college and then they got jobs and moved out.
Yeah.
So then it was like, well, we have some openings, you know?
And it just worked.
Yeah, it just worked, man.
Absolutely. It's just worked. What, you are a father as well, and we talked a little bit about wearing these hats. Do you ever have a hard time turning off the business?
Very much so.
How do you keep it grounded? These not some questions.
Yeah, it is tough. You know, I'm not great at it, like turning my phone off at night or putting it on the counter because there is this responsibility, right? And even if I don't care who's at the gym, like push comes to shove, I might have to go to the gym right now, right? Something happens or, I mean, you just never know.
Yeah.
Right? It could be a clogged toilet that's overflowing, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's been the hardest part. There's definitely times where I just ignore it, turn off notifications, but I'm not great at it.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I need to be better about. But I also have a lot of flexibility with the gym, obviously. So I think there's this piece of like being able to come do this podcast. I'm like just available.
Yeah.
You know, and I can be flexible in most of my schedules.
Hell yeah.
So I can also apply that to my kids, except when they're in school, right?
Yeah.
But I only coach 2 nights a week.
At this point.
Yeah. Early on, it was really hard because I was coaching every night.
Yeah.
And just being away from the family. And we've always made it a point to eat together and all that.
Yeah.
So now what's crazy is we kind of came into this situation where now I'm only coaching twice a week. It's been better. We found a flow. And the 2 nights I'm there, my boys are there.
Hell yeah.
Now my daughter's there, all in the same team. So we're coaching, right? I mostly just coach the team class, the advanced class. So it's kind of became a family thing when I go to the gym. But now my boys are starting to work at the gym. Yeah. And Ben just turned 16, so he's driving to the gym by himself to work.
Which is wild.
And now I'm like, well, I work Monday, and Ben works Monday with me, and then Tuesday Ben works, and maybe Friday Jason works. And now we're like disconnected again, but that's because the kids are getting older. And that happens with every family. Right. But, you know, we're trying to figure that piece out now. But, and even with my kids with their phones, like, okay, when do you got to cut it off, right? And we create limits and all that. Like, at what point do I need to create limits on my phone and have my wife have to punch in a code for me to use an app?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the hardest part for me is I always want to be available and help and support. But that was also the reason why I didn't want to do it by myself.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
So, but I'm not great at letting go. I'm horrible at that. So
that's where I got to learn. Hell yeah. Nobody can be perfect, right?
Yeah.
The only other thing I have to speak about is you participated on American Ninja Warrior.
Yeah.
Speak about what that experience was like. We spoke a little bit about your son in LA and walking into that, but for you, and a dream. What a dream, man.
Wild.
Yeah.
Wild. Yeah. And and it's cool because I never like grew up saying I want to be on this show someday. It more of just kind of morphed into what I loved and what I did. I almost got into CrossFit until Ninja Warrior came along because I just love that powerful movement type stuff. So being on the show, I didn't think I'd have a chance to get on, right? And then once I got on, I did pretty well the first season, and my goal then was instantly, I want to do this with my kids. I can't wait to be on the show with my kids.
Hell yeah.
We got the opportunity last year, and unfortunately, Ben and I both joined the swim team pretty early. Jumped in the pool.
That, fell off.
Fell off the obstacle. And it would have been cool because Ben was actually the youngest athlete of the season.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And I think we were one of the only, if not the only, father-son duo that year.
Very cool.
But
so always next year.
Always next year.
Hell yeah.
So we applied, and so you have to submit a video, submit an application. There's no tryouts or anything. It's just like they want a personality for the TV, right? I mean, it's a TV show.
Yeah.
Not a competition.
Right.
It's a TV show with a competition.
Yeah. That's smart to remember, too, when you're marketing towards that.
It is. It is. So otherwise, if it's purely competition, like a 41-year-old dad's not in. No offense. Like, I mean,
dude,
I'm not in at least. Maybe another 41-year-old dad, but I'm not. I mean, these
some of these athletes are freak athletes. We're talking about a man who did 6,000 pull-ups.
Right. Right. They can just go and go. And now these young teens are starting to take over.
We're training them to be those.
Yep. And it's all about strength to weight ratio.
Yeah, it's wild.
I think it's awesome. One of my favorite things is actually when the parents come and do it with the kids on the weekends or whatever.
Yeah.
And they do it. And one of the first things I tell the dads, because the dads love to just jump in.
Yeah.
Number one, dads are our number one injury, right? Because they forget that they're not a little kid.
They're dads.
And number two, like, you're not 40-pound kindergartner anymore. Like,
yeah, bro.
You weigh a little more, and you're a lot stronger, but you weigh a lot more. Yeah. And you have to hold that weight up.
Heck yeah.
So
it's tougher than it looks.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes it's pretty challenging.
Yeah, absolutely. And seeing some of those young kids, like,
they're amazing.
Look like a spider monkey flinging across that stuff. And it's
Seriously.
Like, you would think, well, I can do that. Nope. Sorry, dude. I've tried it. I'll tell you. Some of that stuff.
Yeah, and just like any sport, there's a lot of technique involved. So it's easy for someone to get discouraged early on. And you're like, dude, they've been training forever. It's like me trying to go swim. I remember swimming at the WRC trying to do a triathlon. It's like I was miserable, and I just swam down. There's someone next to me that doesn't look like they're in shape, and they're killing it, right?
Killing it.
I'm like, what am I doing wrong?
Absolutely.
It's technique, right?
Yeah. You want to be good at something, you got to practice that something.
Absolutely.
It's so much truth in that. Well, dude, I can't keep you any longer. We both have appointments to make. Wow. So I have to take you to the firing range.
Here we go.
Are you ready to rock and roll, dude?
Sure.
So this is just a this or that, fastest as you can. Whatever speaks to you, you will be judged for it.
I love it.
All right, Scott. The first one is, are you taking Veggie Supreme or Meat Lovers?
Meat Lovers.
Beef or chicken?
Beef.
Warped Wall or Jacob's Ladder?
Warped Wall.
Monkey Bars or a Rolling Barrel?
Rolling Barrel.
Ultimate Cliffhanger or Hang Climb?
Ooh, Ultimate Cliffhanger.
Those are both supposed to be tough.
Yeah.
Shoes or sandals?
Shoes every time.
Audiobook or a hard copy?
Audio.
Mountains or a beach?
Ooh, beach.
I like that.
Cool.
Ninja Teens or Backyard Ninjas?
Oh.
I'm putting you right there.
Well, the Ninja Teens aren't teens anymore.
True, that's very true. It's non-existent. And are you choosing to teach, learn, or to compete? That's your final one. Hell yeah. I like it, dude. Thank you for your time. I appreciate what you're doing. I love Ninja U and what you built, dude.
Thanks, man.
Hell yeah.
I appreciate it.